All right. So we are all being brought together to discuss why we chose corporate finance. We are all FAs, financial analysts at IBM today, and I'm Hannah Schrader. So my story about why I chose finance and kind of what led me there. I think back when I was in your guys' chairs of someone asking me where I wanted to go for a career path, and I would have said, I kind of have an idea, but I have no idea. So my journey of kind of where I ended up, and my mom was in nursing and I saw her being a nurse. So I kind of almost followed in her footsteps and thought, okay, I'm gonna go for nursing. I know I love science. I know I love working with people, that's a good fit. So I went down the path of going to school for nursing and found out after doing clinicals that that wasn't the path. Or it wasn't the right fit. I didn't like the blood, but I love the book stuff. So while I was pursuing nursing, I had a job in retail, and I started to really like that. I liked seeing the full picture of running a business, working with people. And I started really liking the numbers. So, if we looked at different stores in different areas, what made one store perform better than the other? What made one store a bottom performer? Why did one store have more sales? So I really started digging into the financial side of the business. And I think that's where I really discovered my love for finance. And I went to school for finance and then found IBM. But why I chose finance and why I feel like it was a good fit is really just how you think in finance. It's not black and white. It's not number crunching. It's really being able to be creative and problem solving and digging into numbers and data to tell a meaningful story. So if you're sitting there and you like and find that you like analysis or helping solve problems or working with people, I think those are traits that are somewhat similar to people in finance and why I chose finance as my career path. But yeah, I'll pass it over to Zach and we'll hear his story of why he chose finance as a career.
Perfect. Thanks, Hannah. I think for me, it's a bit different. I'm a big math guy. I've grown up loving math. It was really the only subject I ever really succeeded in. And it started even earlier than that, before the math classes began, and it was money. I absolutely loved money. Everything I could possibly do was to earn my next dollar, was to go buy a new bike or do a bunch of fun things with all the money that I possibly could get. And I mean, I remember as a 4 or 5-year-old going out and collecting bottles and cans from my neighbor's garbages to go turn in for 5 cents, a nickel, or 10 cents if you went to a different state. It was crazy how much everyday life turned into, okay, how can I turn my dollar into something that is bigger than that? It was lemonade sales. It was just that aspect of, I love having the money and I love being able to buy fun things that as a kid, and I remember all my friends didn't really have. So that's kind of where I got into it. It was the money and the math side of it, where it was, how can I make all of this grow so that I have more that I can use and have fun with? So that's kind of where my interest came.
I was just going to ask, did your friends kind of see you as the finance guy then?
Yeah. I was the guy always coming up. Yeah, I was the one always coming up with the brainiac ideas that they would follow for an hour or so, then give up. It was always, yeah, they would follow suit, but it never really lasted as long as my attention was towards it. And that's how it's always been. I mean, that's kind of what drove me towards finance, was just that aspect. But how about you, Rose? Any difference in kind of what drove you into it, or is it a different story completely?
Oh, it's completely different. Hannah and Zach have their own unique path they took here. I'm not gonna lie, Zach, we all love money. But that was actually not my motivator. My motivator was my first accounting class that I took in high school. I was in there and I was like, this is amazing. This is so good. I have to use both my left and right brain. I have to be creative. I have to think about analysis. I'm using my critical thinking. I mean, it just opened up a whole new world to me. Some classes were boring, I'm not gonna lie, but that to me was a fun class. I was looking forward to it, and immediately I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into into finance and start my career from there. I know we're short on time here, but both Hannah and Zach mentioned all the good aspects of things, and it goes to show that it doesn't matter where you start. You know, I could have figured it out Zach started with collecting cans and bottles. Hannah started in nursing and went down to retail to finance eventually. So it's all different paths, it's all different journeys, but we all landed up in the same spot.
All right. So I think, Rose wrapped it up already, but I agree. Every path that you're going to take, it'll lead you down to what interests you the most. So feel confident of jumping into different subjects, and you'll feel it in your gut when it's the right fit for you. So we enjoyed talking about why we chose corporate finance. Next, you'll see us discussing a day in the life and what we do in corporate finance.